IGCSE Geography with Maurice, and today we are going to look at drainage basins and their features. And actually, this is the part 2, okay, of river environments. Remember, I talked about river environments part 1, where I dealt with the hydrological cycle. So I'm going on with the same topic, which is river environments, but now the part 2, we're going to look at the drainage basins and their features, okay. Now, what do I intend that you understand at the end of the lesson? I want you to be able to know this. You should be able to know features of a drainage basin. That is the source, watershed, channel, network, mouth also. I'll also be having some revisions here and there so that we get to understand this better. All right, so let's start right away. So what is this? What is a drainage basin? What is a drainage basin? Now, a drainage basin is just an area of land drained by a river. So when you see just an area of a land that is drained by a river, that's a drainage basin, okay? That's the simple definition of this drainage basin. It's not hard, it's just as simple as that. Okay, now, you should know that the difference between this hydrological cycle and the drainage basin, it's the way I talked about the hydrological cycle last time. We say that hydrological cycle is a closed system, which means that it has no water that is coming in or going out. It has no inputs and outputs. But now that is completely different when you talk about the drainage basin, because the drainage basin kind of is an open system. That means it has water coming in, it has water going out. Okay, that's what we call inputs and output. That's what I'm saying. However, an important difference between the drainage basin and the hydrological cycle is that drainage basin is an open system. Then we have a drainage basin and external inputs and outputs. That's what I've actually talked about. So the amount of water in the basin system varies over time. In the hydrological cycle, the amount of water remains exactly the same. That's why it's a closed system. That's the main difference of the drainage basin and the hydrological cycle. Understood? Okay, now let's look at these inputs of a drainage basin, because you need to know them. What are these inputs of a drainage basin? Now we have this energy from the sun. How is it an input? Okay, think of it this way. When we have the sun hitting maybe a water body somewhere, maybe a lake, an ocean, maybe the water that is not intercepted on the leaves. I talked more on that in the previous video. When it's heated by the sun, what will happen? It will evaporate. So energy from the sun is kind of acting to evaporate the water, maybe from the water bodies or even from the leaves or stems. That's what makes it to be like an input, okay? So it will make that need to evaporate, and then will lead to precipitation, okay? So you see that is water which is coming in at the end of it, all right? So precipitation formed from moisture picked up outside the basin. That is another input, of course, okay? Precipitation formed from moisture picked outside the basin. Remember, when it's from precipitation that is formed from moisture picked from the same drainage basin, then that is not an input. But precipitation formed from moisture picked up outside from another basin, remember, it's bringing in, so it's an input. And then we have water from tributary drainage basin, of course, that's an input, okay? So when you talk about input, is what brings in, okay? Energy from the sun kind of brings in, but when it's evaporating, it's taking out. But now when you talk about maybe going to cause that water vapor that will again fall as rain, it's an input. Precipitation from outside, okay, that is an input. Then water from a tributary drainage basin, that's an input. Understood? Now, what are these outputs in the river discharge? Okay, when the river discharges water maybe to some other place, there's an output. Then we have the water in its basin from which evaporation and precipitation takes place. Okay, this water eventually falls as precipitation in another drainage basin. So when we have water kind of precipitation happening in another drainage basin, okay, not really from outside, but now from inside to another drainage basin, it's an output. Understood? Yeah, so now let's look at the characteristic of this drainage basin, okay? We have the catchment area, and catchment area is just the area within the drainage basin. That's the catchment area. So you might be asked maybe in a question to define what a catchment area is. It's just an area within a drainage basin. Okay, then we have a watershed. What is this watershed? The watershed is the edge of highland surrounding the drainage basin, which marks the boundary between two drainage basins. Okay, marks the boundary between two drainage basins. You can have a drainage basin here, another drainage basin here, and separated by a watershed. You understand that? And then we look at the source. The source is just the beginning or start of a river. Simple as that. Just the start of a river, that's the source. And then we have the confluence. The confluence is the point at which two rivers or streams meet and merge into a single channel. Okay, when you have another river maybe meeting another river, another river meeting another river, we don't call that a mouth. It can be confused by a mouth, but these are river meeting another river. So where they are meeting, the meeting point is what we call a confluence. Okay, and now they join the main channel, which is then going to drain water maybe to a certain another body, water body, maybe a lake, an ocean. So where is draining that water is what now can be a mouth, but I'm going to talk about that. Then tributary is just a stream or a small river which joins a large stream of a river. Okay, when you have just a small stream of a river that joins another large river, maybe a certain river that is one of the main river, that's what we call a tributary. Okay, not where they meeting, where they are going to meet is what we call a confluence, but that channel alone is what we call, that channel of a river or that stream of a river is what we call a tributary. Now the mouth that I've just been talking about is the point where the river now comes to an end, usually when entering another water body. For example, we can talk about a sea, talk of an ocean, talk of a lake. Understood? Okay, so those are the characteristics of the drainage basin that you just need to know. You have them on your fingertips for you to understand this. Now, this is the whole picture of whatever I'm talking about. You can see the source here, the where the river begins, and we have a watershed here, the highland on either side of that drainage basin, and then we have a tributary, is just a stream of a river that joins the main river, and then we have the mouth where it's ending now, like we have that main river ending, maybe join another water body, which can be a lake, an ocean, a sea, like that. And yeah, that is it. So as simple as that. Now you need to note some of these points. Actually, they're very important. The numbers of tributaries in a drainage basin refers to as the drainage density, the number of tributaries. So when you say a river has a drainage density, maybe a high drainage density, a low drainage density, we actually mean that it's kind of having that number of tributaries. So when drainage basins with lots of tributaries have a large or a high drainage density, when drainage basins with have a few tributaries, you say it's having a low drainage density. Okay, now another key important thing that you should know when talking about hydrological cycle in the drainage basins are the factors affecting runoff. Okay, you need to understand the factors that are affecting runoff. I know I've talked about that, I've revised that in the previous video, so if you've not checked that video, kindly go check it out, because I revised it as some of the questions that are normally asked. We're talking about the kind of the factors that affect the hydrological cycle and also basically the drainage basin. Okay, so these are some of the factors that kind of affect the runoff. Okay, let's look at that. So the first one, we have steep slopes. How is it affecting like the surface runoff? So the steep slopes and impermeable rocks, of course, will speed up the surface runoff. How? When the slopes are steep, you saw the gravity is kind of high, right? So it will kind of speed off that runoff of that water. Okay. Then we have another one, permeable rocks. It results into river disappearing underground. Hence, it will slow down the surface runoff, because that water that will be flowing will kind of be disappearing to the, like, will kind of be percolating to the soil. So you find that that one will kind of reduce the runoff. And then we have a woodland. We were talking about it when you're discussing that question in the previous video. So woodland holds water, and therefore it slows the rate of runoff. When you have a lot of maybe trees around, woods around, so it's kind of going to hold that water, and therefore that now will kind of slow that surface runoff. Okay, then we have urban areas, or what you call urbanization generally. Urban areas have a lot of solid surfaces such as roofs, pavements, and roads. Hence, it will speed up surface runoff because those roofs are not allowing water to pass through. Those pavements are not allowing water to percolate to the ground, to the underground of the that soil. So it will kind of make the surface runoff to be faster because water will now be of high be of high quantity, and that is going to kind of speed up the surface runoff. Now let's look at some commonly asked questions and how to answer them. Generally, these are very short video because what they normally ask is just the definition of that drainage basin. Look at that question. I think is a 2019 question in Pearson Edese, that is a GCSE. So identify the meaning of the term drainage basin. Look at the first choice, an area of land where water is stored. Is it an answer? An area of land where water levels vary. Can it be an answer? An area of land where flooding occurs. Can it be an answer? An area of land drained by a river. So which one do you think is an answer? Of course, the answer is that D, because is an area of land drainage basin is an area of land drained by a river, which is the correct response. Okay, so A is incorrect as this is about storage, because you're not talking about storage, you're talking about drainage. Okay, so it's an area of land drained by a river. B is incorrect as this is about water levels rather than a land area, because when you talk about drainage basin, you talk about an area of that land, okay, that is drained by a river. Okay, so when you say an area of land where water levels vary, we are actually talking about water levels, not that area of land. Okay, so C is incorrect as the response is about flooding. When you talk about an area of land where flooding occurs, drainage basin is not about flooding. Okay, it's about an area of a land that is being drained by that river. The second question, you look at that. So the questions they normally ask here are just about the definition, but no, you should also know the issues of inputs, outputs, and all the factors affecting runoff and all that. You should know, it's very key. So state what is meant by the term drainage basin. Of course, the answer can be an area of land around the river that is drained by the river and its tributaries. Okay, so that is it, guys, for this short video, and that's the end. Now I encourage you to go check out part 3. We should be dealing with I think river regimes. Okay, remember, the end of all these parts of these river environments, I expect you to be able now to answer all the questions in the river environment as a topic. Okay, so that is it. Have a nice time.